How did you come up with your logo? Is it based off an actual real ink splatter or is it digitally designed? Also, if it is real, what ink was used? I've always been so curious and would love to know the story behind it if there is one. So this is a question I answered in like Q&A 10 or something, like 3 years ago. It was a while ago. So, you know, I thought it would be good to take this one again and just kind of give a little refresher for those of you that maybe don't know the story or haven't seen all the Q&As. Though I do get emailed pretty regularly from folks that watch those old Q&As and just kind of like to go through and catch up on all of them. Bless your hearts. So I did actually create the original logo. Rachel and I did together with her sister, who was in photography school at the time. That was when the Goulet Pen Company was 2 people, just me and Rachel. So we needed some kind of logo. We had some like handwritten type digital scripts that we used for our original logo. And that was it. And there was no splatter or anything like that. But we thought after we did it, I mean, we were in business for probably, I don't know exactly when this was. I want to say it was around like the July timeframe of 2010. So this would have been, you know, maybe 8 or 9 months after we really kind of got rocking and rolling with the fountain pen thing. We had the idea to create a splatter for our logo. And so we got this like little like squeeze bottle and put ink in it, much like you see here. And we could just kind of like drip ink. I'm not going to do it on my desk, but we could just kind of drip ink. And we did a number of different inks, a number of different colors and different types of ink because we wanted to get something that really looked right. And we had to do it several times. It took a solid half day or so to do it, but we wanted to get something that was kind of organic. So we wanted to get a drip pattern, but something that splattered out and looked really kind of cool, but at the same time, had some variance in color to it. We had some inks that we used, I don't remember what they were, but they were really dark, and so it just kind of created like almost like a black looking blob. And we were like, well, we don't really want that. So we ended up testing a bunch of different. I knew I really wanted that blue. I mean, the blue, which kind of matches my shirt right now, it's that cerulean blue. For those of you that haven't heard the story of why I mean, Rachel's loved that blue too. Mine goes all the way back to first grade when I used a cerulean crayon. My parents didn't have a whole ton of money when I was a kid, so I only had like the 8 or the 16 pack of crayons or whatever, but I had a friend who had like the 64 pack, and I was like, whoa, the one with the pencil sharpener, and it was like, what? Or the crayon sharpener, I guess, in the back of it. That was mind-blowing. Now I look at it and it's like not super expensive. But at the time when I was a kid, that was like a really big deal. But I like borrowed a friend's cerulean crayon and it like blew my mind. I was like, this is the most amazing color I've ever seen, even at first grade. And then like the friend took the crayon back and it was years before I found that color again. But then when I did find it, I was like, this is my blue. Like, I love this. So there you go, love affair with cerulean blue ever since. But anyway, so I knew I wanted that blue for the logo. So we were trying a bunch of different colors, and the thing that we actually ended up using was not even really that shade. It was Diamine Presidential Blue, which is not nearly as vibrant of a blue. It's not as saturated, and so the reason we used that one is, first off, I guess whatever the properties, it just the one that we happened to do, the splatter that we happened to make just looked kind of cool, and then we liked the depth of color that happened. Around the edges of the splatter, it's really kind of dark, and then it's lighter in the middle. We really liked that. So that's why we went with that color. But we did digitally render it pretty hardcore once we made that splatter. So we took it into Photoshop and we edited it out, because the original splatter itself, if you ever experiment and do this kind of stuff, when you take and you drip a bunch of ink, and we dripped it from like 3-4 feet up in the air. So when you do that, it blasts out ink everywhere, and it creates a lot of these tiny, tiny little droplets everywhere. So we had to, we photographed it, took that out, and then we cut out a lot of those tiny little drips. And we even like edited little bits and pieces of the just kind of cleaned up the edges of it until we found something that did look natural, because it really was, but it didn't look so busy as it did when you just splatter. And you'll see if you ever try it yourself. It may be worth some kind of fun. You could literally just take your fountain pen and just drip a couple of inks on the page, and you'll see it'll create a big mess. And it's like, well, it doesn't quite look as organic, but anyway. And then the other thing we did was hardcore rendered the color, because it was much darker, less saturated, and so we just made it look like that bright, vibrant kind of royal blue. So that was really it. So the shape itself wasn't particularly planned. but it was very organic, and it just came from, doing a bunch of those drops, and that went, and it kind of looks like, Africa a little bit. We noted that, but honestly, it kind of worked, and it was appealing, and we liked saturation, and the rest is history. And it's been the same Splatter logo that we've had ever since. We have reworked the rest of the logo and all that kind of stuff. We were very intentional about that in 2014 when we redesigned our website, but that's the same Splatter we've had since 2010.